Hello and welcome to Autocar Professional. We are at the Future Powertrain Conclave here in Chennai, and I'm delighted to be here with Mr. K. Dhirendra, who's from SKF India. And sir, I would love to hear your thoughts about how India could see a plurality in powertrains. Where do you see the market evolving? Because you supply to the who's who of the industry and the biggest players that you partner with. So, where do you see the industry moving in terms of powertrain mix going forward?
Yeah, thank you. Very rightly said. See, there is going to be plurality in the powertrain, though we have been seeing for the last couple of years a lot of buzz coming on the EV platform, but we don't see that traction. You see some ups and downs happening on the EV, right? So the plurality of the powertrain will continue, which is good. Also for India as an overall automotive industry, and also for the ancillary units of the automotive industry. So I see that though there will be segment-wise penetration in a different percentages on the EV platform, but we will see a lot of growth happening in alternate fuel technologies. Okay, when you talk about passenger vehicle or you talk about commercial vehicles, you will see a bit of penetration on EV, but you will see more technologies coming in terms of hydrogen fuel cells or hydrogen ICE platforms. Probably by biofuels would something that would come up eventually. In two-wheeler, you will see a significant penetration of EV, close to maybe about 30%, what by 2030 probably. Uh, Three-wheeler, we are already at about 25 plus percent three-wheeler penetration. That is expected to go beyond 50-60% in three-wheeler. So that's how I look that how the industry will go in terms of plurality.
Got it. Since you head both the two-wheeler and the three-wheeler division at SKF India, how do you see each segment evolving in terms of powertrain mix? Because, for example, in two-wheelers, we are seeing CNG becoming no, I would not say preferred technology at this point, because at least there's a start that is being made when it comes to CNG. Ethanol is already there. So, how do you see technology evolving in each of these segments?
So as I said, see two-wheeler, we already see significant penetration on EV, and the alternate technology in CNG is just starting, but they have similar challenges: the range anxiety, the infrastructure availability for CNG. So we will have to wait and watch how this really emerges out. So I see significantly still a lot of dominance coming on the ICE platform, especially on the two-wheeler segment. EV will be the second major, as I said, about expected to come about 30%, because there is a lot of work going on infrastructure development for EV, but the same is not there for CNG. So on the two-wheeler segment, I really do not see a significant shift between ICE, EV, and any alternate technology. Ethanol fuel blending is already there, so it will remain there. Future probably would look at something again alternate fuels in terms of maybe biofuels or something. That's where I look at how the two-wheeler will move. Three-wheeler is going to probably have domination with EV. That's what it looks like.
Got it. We are here in Chennai, and the Tamil Nadu government is sort of like looking at pegging this state as a leading player in all kinds of technologies. It's already taking a step forward with so many players in the EV manufacturing space as well. Almost 40% of all ancillary manufacturing happens here. How do you see that sort of developing in terms of states sort of fighting for becoming a better manufacturers in the auto ancillary space? How do you see that sort of developing going forward in the country?
A lot depends on what infrastructure the states have. Okay, see, let's understand these technologies. If I talk specifically for EV, what we are looking at is local battery manufacturing capability, which today is majorly imports. Then you need resources for that, right? Unless you have an infrastructure which means close to ports where you can get these to do the manufacturing, the other states will not be able to compete in a big sense. That's where Tamil Nadu has a big advantage, right? Apart from that, on the other manufacturing sector, you will see most of the states trying to compete in the manufacturing space, but that requires a lot of policy decisions, right? So I would really put it at what infrastructure is available for the states to really build on ancillary units in terms of technology.
Got it. That's very interesting because I spoke about states because that's how China developed, because they have different provinces competing within, each other with each other to sort of develop as a manufacturing hub. So that's how their countries become so cost competitive within, and all these players like BYD, Xiaomi, etc., coming from very local places. So talking of China, there was talk of China plus one and how India can sort of contribute in, as like as an emerging market to making in India for the world, and that was sort of touted as like the next big opportunity for the country. How do you see the progress on that front?
I think we have made significant progress in terms of India being, the alternate source for China, right? The Make in India program actually has given a lot of boost to a lot of industries, and we see that trend. Most of the OEMs now looking for alternate, especially from what they were sourcing from China earlier. Uh, they are looking for local, uh, not only just to stop dependency on China. If you look at, maybe I'll go 2, 3 years back, post COVID, we also had a lot of issues with, for one is for semiconductors, the other was for containers. So there was a lot of container shortages, so that impacted the complete supply chain. That also prompted, added to the Make in India program for OEMs to de-risk themselves from their China supply chain, right? So this is something that really gave a boost to the Indian auto ancillary units, and I think that's a good step forward. Not only that, when they saw that we have all the capability, technology, and competence to meet the requirements, global OEMs, I will say, not only Indian OEMs. So you're seeing a lot of global OEMs taking India as a local sourcing hub for their global requirements. So this is a significant shift that we have seen in the last 4 to 5 years, I would say, and this will continue. I mean, we have a very strong growth projections for India in this.
Talk a bit about SKF India and how do you see your company contributing into the overall growth path that India is seeing? What is the kind of expansion plans you have and penetration within the country? And even if you have, like, for example, if you look at other global aspirations, we talk of localizing R&D in India. That is like India is really low on R&D, for example. So, if you could just start with talking about your plans and vision for the company going forward, and what aspects would it sort of see better penetration in the country?
I'll first answer on competence and R&D. Okay, let me start by saying that in India we have a global technical center for SKF, and we service most of the requirements for the globe. So I would not agree
Globally for the
globally. Yes, it's a global technical center, right? We have all the competence that is required. We service the globe already from our global technical center based out of Bangalore. So I don't agree that we don't have the competence. We have all the
no, no,
competence. We
not
have.
you. In general, industry wise, it's
Okay.
considered that India is lacking. Like a lot of investment doesn't go into R&D. So
Okay.
yeah, could that improve, for example?
It could improve. Like I said, as an example, SKF itself, we have all the technology, we have all the competence within this country. It's all about a mindset that you need to set it up here, and you can service the globe, right? So R&D investments traditionally in India has always been low, if you see. It's more focused on manufacturing. It is focused on your supply chain, and R&D investments per se as a part of budget of a company is not really significant when you compare it to globe.
Yeah.
But that is changing today. And again, I'll bring back the Make in India. That's where these things are really building up. We have resources, we have really good talented engineers within the country, right? And that is where the investments into R&D is also gradually growing. So for sure, this is all going to add up as a lot of R&D centers coming up. You can see, you see a lot of companies setting up R&D centers here, uh, especially centered around the south. So that's an indication that we are also getting there in terms of R&D investments.
Yeah, got it. Lastly, if you could leave us with some opportunities that you see for SKF India in a changing world where we don't know what technology is going to stick. Someone is talking of hybrid, someone is talking of electric being the ultimate future, but the path to electric is sort of really confusing at this point, and there are multiple options. So for SKF, what is the vision that you have? What are the opportunities that you see in the country?
Our vision is clearly around the rotating equipment, right? So our purpose is together we reimagine rotation for a better tomorrow. Now, what does this mean for us? It's not just us as SKF, it is SKF, it is our customer partners, it is our supplier partners, it is our logistic
So
partners.
the whole ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem, together we are reimagining rotation for a better tomorrow. Now, when we say better tomorrow, it's again not for us, it is for everyone. So, our purpose is around this. Okay. Now, if I have to relate that to the question that you say, what we see here, our entire development, our R&D expenditure, our product portfolio is centered around making the world better for everybody. And it's not only on automotive. Now I'm talking about all the equipments, or everywhere where there is a rotation, there is an SKF. Right? There is a bearing, so there is an SKF. That's how we look at it. So from an opportunity perspective, whatever the technology comes, right, where there is a rotation, you need a new technology. And we are coming up with low friction, we are coming up energy efficient, we are coming up with low mass products, we are coming up with energy efficient, high speed requirements, which is what will move the technology. So we are focused, we are working at a full value chain for this. That's how we drive our purpose today.
On that note, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your vision with us. You talked about the industry as well, and for sure, exciting times ahead for the industry. And thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nice meeting you.